Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Went camping with a couple friends in a spooky patch of woods near my house. A bizarre, big, and scary animal was making aggressive noises at us just feet away from us all through the night. History of weird stuff in this town. Can Greentext if there's demand. So this happened 6 years ago, in North Appalachia, about an hour east of Pittsburgh. The woods weren't even that dense, but when you step in the small patch, not sure how many acres, but can't be more than 50, but it is next to other larger patches as well. It feels like a dense rainforest. I was scared shitless, and at the worst point, laying, shaking, scared. Meeting up with childhood friends I hadn't seen in a while, we decided to camp in woods nearby. We actually have a history of these woods. We did the same thing about 15 years prior, or 21 wires from now, and felt it was really spooky, but no great story. In that 15-year period, our friend group has a legend of a Sasquatch-like figure we think we've experienced next to my house. Sort of a running half-joke. Set up a campsite, having a great time with the three of us. It gets late, it's night. We decide to find a spooky story telling on YouTube. It's long as F, and I feel like my friends fell asleep around the fire as it dies down. I get a text from my brother. He was visiting nearby, but just left. Took a picture of deer by the road heading toward our site, and added some spooky caption. For some reason, I get uneasy. Might be that I really dislike deer. Sort of a backstory to that. But I already am getting nervous. I guess I'll include a bit of the backstory that 20 or so years ago as a kid, I found a deer skull exactly where our tent was now sitting, and somehow thought it was a good idea to bring it back home as a decoration in my room. Had recurring nightmares of deer and half deer, half man for years and years after. Not sure if this is why I'm getting scared, getting spooked again writing this. I feel a looming presence. The YouTube story ends and we're sitting in silence. Finally, I see they're awake and we stir the fire a bit. Conversation is still low and I'm still uneasy. Suddenly, from just about 10 feet behind us in the brush, a monster of a sound is made. Zero idea WTF this is, only that it was terribly loud and certainly large and imposing, you could tell. I start to take off running as instinct, but we regroup, make noise and stand our ground to scare whatever it is off. We're all fairly experienced in the woods and cannot match that to a sound a deer makes. No one wants to admit how scary that was but me. Friend tries to convince us it's a deer, although I know him well when he's BSing and has this habit of just saying baseless shit. Figure I may as well try to convince myself that's it if we're gonna sleep out here. We turn in for the night in our big tent. Of course, they fall asleep within minutes. I'm wide awake thinking about that sound. Within 20 minutes, I heard this same sound again just feet away from our tent. You can hear a girthy weight to it, like it's no small animal. Asshole friends wake up. Holy shit, you guys want to get out of here? I say. They're too tired to move, but definitely scared. They're also dumb in general. The noise repeats closer within minutes. At the same time, I randomly hear what sounds like a tree falling about 100 yards out. Bizarre. I'm laying shivering, scared. I swear I hear something circling the tent now and then over the next couple hours. Sun finally rises. Friends agree whatever it was unbelievable, but they try to act like they're tough guys. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I was scared shitless and wouldn't go back. Those woods always had a cursed vibe. It's actually family property, but they were sold off a month ago to a new neighbor. Joke's on him. Beamy 20, friend 21, and brother 18. Summer 2021. Homemade crayfish trap to set at the Snohomish River as we have seen them. Invasive species too, not our native signal crayfish. I love our nature, so if we eat them, who cares, right? Brother and I went to scope out the best spot and check for crayfish tracks in the shallow part of the river. It's called Bob Ehrman Wildlife Park. Google map it. I've been swimming there since we were kids in the summers. Dick around smoking a cig, walking back just at dusk, eating blackberries and talking up Sasquatch and saber-toothed tigers because we are nerds. And the place has a big swampy field. The kind you'd imagine to be full of dinosaurs. I'll add a pic for reference. Coming back along the river path and get spooked by a cough. Some skinny little dude cradling a shotgun case covered in dirt is crouched in the blackberry bush. Crack a joke. "Oh, thought you were a squatch, you spooked us, man." 1,000 yards stares at us, says worse things than Bigfoot out here, and cradles his shotgun. We speed walk the remaining half-mile back to the parking lot and look over our shoulders. Tell friend that night and he goes, "Okay, let's bring knives when we drop the trap then." And we laugh now for the Bigfoot part. Be us, 1 week later. Chicken wire funnel trap, 2 feet by 2 feet by 1 feet because we are extra. Illegal to do this without a license, so we go at 1 a.m. with 2 headlamps and 1 big flashlight. Walk down through the field and catch some tadpoles in a puddle because ADHD. Walk 1.2-ish miles to the crayfish spot. Big rocky area. It's summer so dry, about 150 to 200 feet of river rocks exposed before water. I keep hearing something moving and stepping at the tree line, but we go, "Oh, coyotes, whatever, right?" Brother takes a trap into the river, wades to his waist. Anyways, plunk. A huge rock lands around 1.5 to 2 feet from him. Shout, "What the hell?" Friend pointed a flashlight to the opposite bank and couldn't see anything, even eye shine. I say it's just the trout jumping, he spooked it. Brother chuckles. He's a stoic guy, over 6 feet tall and built. I'm a LARPer, so I shine my flashlight, scanning the tree line on the other side. Plunk. A big-ass rock goes through the edge of the beam. Brother swears and stuffs the trap under a log and runs out. Plunk again. More scrabbling and rocks behind some bushes on our bank. Shining our light scanning, we of course all light an American Eagle to calm down and start wandering north up the shore. See a fire maybe 1/4 mile away on some farmland and hear generic country music blasting. Plunk, plunk. Rocks landing closer and tracking our movement. Lights not shining in water and we know it isn't trout. Suddenly crash, crunch, snort, crunch, crash. We see the bushes and saplings shake in the other side, and vague movement, fast movement. Something big is running. We sprint north to a small fork in the river, which runs north to south, so this fork creek on the east side is rejoining the main river. I can't see around it in time. Redneck music stops and I hear shouting. ATV starts and rolls upright as we hear a distinct bipedal slosh through the fork stream going east. No footprints, right? Clever girl. Rednecks shouting, "What the hell was that? Big mofo, eh? Y'all good?" We are like, "Yeah, you boys see what it was? It chucked rocks at us." "No, we didn't." He shouts. Then they say, "Take it easy," and go back to their fire. No more music, though. Footsteps on our side still. We start laughing about it and have an autistic name for the small, nameless woods bordering the river. The woods of Trank and fields of Tork. Look, we used to fish there a lot, so it's an inside joke. In the woods, it's silent. We all realize and comment on how fast we are walking. Friend pulls his knife and I follow suit. The path winds back along the river. Plunk. It's still tracking. We are even behind the trees and can barely see the river. Make it to the field area. Light another batch of cigs. Really quiet. Walk uphill to the car. Get Taco Bell and begin laughing about the Sasquatch. We named them Beasts of Tork. Don't mention all the snapping twigs and the rock tracking, nor the fact that the coyotes we heard when we entered had been moving south, and that coyotes nor bears nor mountain lions throw stones. Come back in the afternoon. Someone stole our crayfish trap, probably because my bait was perfectly formulated and caught a lot of them. Hot dog, fish meat, and some rotting salad from the refrigerator. Nobody believes us. Stopped going there at night. Also, one time we had to call in a dead body at this location that same summer, which was fun. It was under a tarp. Sorry, the other pictures and vids have face and voice, and I'm not posting anything that can ID me. We did find upside-down saplings and teepee structures there, which is apparently a Bigfoot indicator, but it's pretty popular as a swimming spot, so it could be kids building them. IDK kids can uproot 12-foot saplings and jam them upside down into the ground, though. As an addendum, my friend swears he saw multiple eye shines on the other side of the river, but I didn't see it. I only saw the rock come through the flashlight beam right next to my younger brother. I was so scared he would get brained by a Bigfoot Artillery, and so amped that maybe I missed it. Funny enough, my brother thinks we were being followed through the field, but me and my buddy didn't hear anything through that segment of the return. My bro is giant, so we were having to almost jog to keep up. He was moving as fast as he could go without actually jogging or running. We only actually ran through the initial wooded segment because of the snapping twigs and footsteps. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm anonymous, and so I can admit to cowardly behavior.
Do you know of any other Bigfoot sightings encounters from that area? And do you ever think about trying to go back to that area with phones, cameras, and firearms?
I still live like 8 miles from there, and on Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization report log, it says that when they built these subdivisions in the 70s, there were sightings all over the place. Children, adults, workers, etc. Seen the teepees in various backpacking routes deep in the mountains and in surprisingly suburban areas. Please see attached map. Sorry, it's messy. But I want to show you just why it's so viable. There's basically a depopulated area between the Cascades and the Snohomish River right where Bob Airman Park is, because that's state forest logging. In 10 years, tech sector growth will infill this area with houses, and I doubt these sightings will be as common as pop density grows ever higher here. Technically, I'm part of this problem as my parents came here for money. I'm lucky to have had this experience. If anyone wants me to expound any of the other ones, let me know. I'm going to bed in 45 minutes at midnight.
Thank you for replying and elaborating on your story. Oregon has a really high number of Bigfoot sightings and encounters, along with Washington and California, so it's not surprising that you had your encounter that you shared with us. I definitely believe your story and that it happened as you described it, and I would be terrified if I found myself in that situation, even if I had high-powered firearms and extremely bright flashlights. By the way, how far are you from Portland? And if you are familiar with that area, are there lots of woods around there? And is Portland as shitty and miserable as it seems like it is these days?
I grew up incredibly outdoorsy, and I am basically a generic Washington redneck. My parents did college in the States and are Americanized, so you get what you get. Portland's like 250 miles south or something. Very familiar with it. Yeah, I did not own a gun back then because of our dumbass handgun laws, but I don't hike without it these days. Portland has Mount Hood and associated territory 50 to 70 miles east, if I recall correctly. Hood River runs into the Columbia from Mount Hood. Knew some boys from there in my school days, and they never said anything about this shit. Only running into bears or cougars. Portland was the model of urban planning 15 years ago. When I was a kid, it was great. Always had street people, but they used to be more genial before the Chinese drugs. Synthetic meth mostly, and now fent-laced. Got real bad. Noticeably worse since 2020. Downtown is safe. I've been around at night often, but it's more dangerous than it's been in almost 30 years. Same as Seattle. I have friends and family in Portland who remember when it wasn't a shithole. Hell, I remember when it wasn't a shithole, and I'm 22. I like Seattle more by far.
Definitely interesting. You don't think it could have been anyone messing with you then? What part of the country?
Snohomish County, Washington. No, if it was the rednecks, their buddies would have revealed themselves. The shotgun kid and the dead body incident imply nefarious activity. But trust me, when you get that feeling, you know what is happening. The speed at which the Bigfoot ran through the brush. Each stride was giant, and it outran 3 fit young men like us sprinting full speed. And then it easily ran through the fork around the island, as I implied on my map. The other yellow circles are my hypotheticals based on the continued rock throwing and footsteps in the woods and field. I guess at least 3 and at most 5. 3 is more likely.
UFO story if you're here still anon.
Late night 5 minutes quick rundown edition. Spooky because it didn't fly exactly. It was more underwater. Be 4 of us, 3 brothers and cousin, camping on the beach in the largest island in Puget Sound on 4th of July. Guaranteed great view of the fireworks in Holmes Harbor. Big military choppers flying around the Chinooks, base on the island so it's common sight. Brother spooking us about a star moving unnaturally in the sky. Nobody cares. Cousin points in the bay. What's that? Green glow deep under the water. Circular, moving slowly. Skip stones at it because we thought it was bioluminescent plankton. Rare occurrence, but seen it in Puget Sound before. Water doesn't light up. WTF. Green glow moves towards us from 300 feet to about 50. Can see and hear the water roiling and churning. Not fish churning glow plankton. We tested for that. It began rising to the surface. A disk, glowing green. Pic related July 4th, 2021, Holmes Harbor, Washington. Chinooks began doing wide circles around the harbor. I said, fuck this, let's go slam some white claws. We walked to my uncle's house from the beach and slammed some white claws. Show family the pic and videos we took. They tell us they don't care, and it's not our problem, whatever it was. Totally aliens. I hate aliens, and the military was obviously going to let us get abducted. Pic related, you can see the churn at the edges. It got more roiled up the closer it got. Even at 30 feet offshore, it didn't have a discernible physical appearance. Just pure nuclear green light. Glad I snapped a pic because WTF.
WTF? That's kind of creepy, to be honest. Got any pics of the same spot but during the day? Just for reference. Also, thanks for sharing your story.
Here you are literally the same day before sundown. This is the same sandbar visible in the glow UFO picture, but I was aiming about 40 degrees to the right of the shore as opposed to directly across. This pic is 5:33 p.m., meaning the glow pic was probably after 9, maybe 10-ish. Can't tell because metadata is screwed up because I had to save it from Snapchat memories or whatever.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Spent a lot of time in the woods. Avid Boy Scout, then took a deep dive when I was in college into what would now be called survivalist shit. During that time I didn't really see anything too weird that wasn't unexplainable. Did experience some stuff. Like leaves seemingly in a time loop, floating up and down. Strange noises and voices. Suddenly everything went silent. There was a particular place that I stopped going to because every time I went off trail backwoods within 30 minutes I'd feel something following me. Later I became a ranger in Alaska. Nothing too weird again in the supernatural department, but saw lots of people doing lots of weird shit. The bush changes you, I guess. Got tired of Alaska. Got posted in Washington. Would get put in these towers for weeks to check for fires and other stuff. It was dusk and I heard ruffling down below. Went down the stairs a bit to make sure the bare gate was locked. Saw something about 50 yards out. The thing some people forget is animals get sick too. Cancer and various diseases. They don't instantly kill but wreak havoc on their bodies, but they still do their animal things. Thought it was a sick bear with mange, but as it got closer something was off. Front legs were too long, hind legs short, and the way it moved was different. It turned to look at me and its face was long and hairless with a whole bunch of teeth. It let out this weird chirp. Sort of took a few quick steps towards me. Closed about 20 yards in 2 seconds. Did this weird hiss rattle sound. Turned around and squirted out this horrendous yellow liquid. Smelled awful. Got up on 2 legs. Screamed, then took off running. Encountered a guy walking a trail once. Odd that he was that far out, but not too odd. He didn't have any backpack or hiking equipment. Went to say hi, but he seemed to ignore me. He didn't seem to be walking faster, but the distance between us kept widening. He turned a bend, I caught up and saw a wolf run off.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.